In the year 2147, humanity stood at the edge of something it had only dreamed about for centuries. The Veil, an advanced alien species, decided to give Earth its first starship as a supposed gesture of goodwill. This event was broadcast live across the globe, with millions of people tuning in to watch history unfold. Among those watching closely were Ryan Carter and Emma Lewis, two scientists who had spent years studying technology and space exploration. Ryan was a young engineer known for his ability to fix anything, no matter how broken it seemed. He had a reputation for being able to salvage old machines and make them work better than new ones. Emma, on the other hand, was a physicist who loved solving puzzles. She had always been fascinated by the idea of traveling to distant stars and discovering what lay beyond Earth. Together, they represented the hope and curiosity of humanity. When the alien ship, called *Solstice*, landed on Earth, everyone expected it to be a marvel of advanced technology. But when Ryan and Emma stepped inside for the first time, their excitement quickly turned into disappointment. The ship was old, dirty, and falling apart. Its walls were covered in rust, and many of its systems didn't even turn on. It looked like it had been abandoned for decades before the Veil handed it over to humans. "This isn't a gift," Ryan said, shaking his head as he examined the control panel. "It's junk." His voice carried a mix of frustration and disbelief. Emma nodded silently, her eyes scanning the room. She could see that the ship wasn't designed to impress. It was meant to test them. Still, she couldn't help but feel a small flicker of hope. If anyone could figure out how to make this ship useful, it was their team. The Veil had told Earth's leaders that the *Solstice* was a symbol of trust and cooperation. They claimed it would help humans learn more about space travel and prepare for future adventures among the stars. But as Ryan and Emma explored deeper into the ship, they began to suspect there was more to the story. Why would such an advanced species give away something so outdated? And why did it seem like the ship was barely holding together? Emma ran her fingers over a strange piece of equipment mounted on one of the walls. It hummed faintly, but she couldn't tell what it was supposed to do. "There's something here," she said, turning to Ryan. "I don't think this is just junk. Maybe they wanted us to find out what we're capable of." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "You mean, like a test?" he asked. The thought made him uneasy. If the Veil were testing humanity, then failing wasn't an option. Humans had worked too hard to get this far, and they weren't about to let some alien species judge them unworthy. Over the next few days, Ryan and Emma gathered a small team to help them study the *Solstice*. They brought in Alex Monroe, a skilled mechanic who could take apart almost anything, and Chloe Bennett, a data analyst with a talent for finding patterns in chaos. Together, they started piecing together fragments of the ship's design, trying to understand how it worked. One afternoon, while examining the ship's engine room, Alex pointed out something unusual. A large metal box in the corner seemed to pulse with a faint blue light. "What do you think that is?" he asked, scratching his head. Ryan knelt down to inspect it more closely. "I'm not sure," he admitted, "but I bet it's important." As the team continued their investigation, they realized that the *Solstice* might hold secrets far greater than anyone had imagined. Hidden beneath layers of rust and decay was technology unlike anything they'd ever seen before. It was clear that this ship wasn't just a random gift. It was a challenge. And Ryan, Emma, and their team were determined to rise to the occasion. For now, all they could do was keep working. Every discovery brought them closer to understanding the true purpose of the *Solstice*. But deep down, they knew that whatever they found would change the course of human history forever. After the initial shock of finding the *Solstice* in such poor condition, Ryan, Emma, and their team threw themselves into the task of figuring out what the ship could do. They set up a makeshift workshop inside the hangar where the alien vessel was being kept. Tools were scattered across tables, wires hung from the ceiling, and blueprints covered every available surface. The air buzzed with energy as the team worked late into the night, determined to uncover the secrets hidden within the old ship. Alex, the mechanic, spent most of his time crawling through narrow tunnels and cramped compartments, trying to fix broken parts or figure out how things worked. One day, while inspecting the engine room, he stumbled upon something strange. Deep inside the ship's core, there was a glowing orb that pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. It wasn't connected to anything obvious, but it seemed to be the source of whatever power the ship still had. "Hey, you guys need to see this," Alex called out, waving the others over. Ryan and Emma hurried to join him, followed by Chloe, who carried her tablet to take notes. When they saw the orb, their eyes widened. It didn't look like any kind of technology they'd ever encountered before. "What is that thing?" Ryan asked, leaning closer to get a better look. "It looks alive." Emma frowned, studying the orb carefully. "I don't think it's alive, but it might be some kind of energy source. If we can figure out how it works, maybe we can use it to power the ship, or even improve it." Chloe tapped rapidly on her tablet, analyzing the data she was collecting from the orb. Her brow furrowed as she noticed something unusual. "There's a pattern here," she said after a moment. "The energy output isn't constant. It spikes at certain intervals. I've never seen anything like it." This discovery sparked a new wave of excitement among the team. If the orb really was an advanced energy source, then the solstice might not be as useless as it seemed. In fact, it could hold the key to unlocking incredible possibilities for humanity. Ryan suggested they focus all their efforts on understanding the orb and integrating it into the ship's systems. As the days passed, the team made slow but steady progress. Emma led the theoretical work, running calculations and simulations to predict how the orb's energy could be harnessed. Ryan and Alex handled the practical side, rewiring circuits and modifying components to channel the power more effectively. Chloe stayed glued to her tablet, monitoring the orb's behavior and searching for clues about its purpose. One evening, as the team gathered around a table cluttered with tools and papers, Chloe shared an idea that changed everything. "What if this orb isn't just a power source?" she said hesitantly. "What if it's capable of generating enough energy to create, well, something bigger, like a weapon?" The room fell silent as everyone processed her words. A weapon powerful enough to rival alien technology sounded impossible, but also tempting. Humanity had always been vulnerable compared to advanced species like the Veil. If they could build something to protect themselves, wouldn't it be worth the risk? Ryan leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "A weapon," he repeated slowly. "That's a big step. Are we sure we want to go down that road?" Emma looked at him sharply. "We don't have a choice," she said firmly. "If the Veil gave us this ship as a test, and I think they did, then we need to show them we're not weak. We can't rely on hope or goodwill. We need strength." Her words struck a chord with the rest of the team. They knew she was right. If humanity wanted to survive in a universe full of dangers, they couldn't afford to play it safe. With renewed determination, they decided to push forward with Chloe's idea. They would try to turn the orb into the foundation of a powerful weapon, a project they dubbed Eclipse. Work on Project Eclipse began immediately. The team divided tasks based on their strengths. Ryan focused on stabilizing the orb's energy flow. Emma designed mechanisms to amplify its power, and Alex built prototypes of delivery systems. Chloe continued monitoring the orb, ensuring they didn't accidentally trigger a catastrophic failure. Despite the long hours and mounting pressure, the team remained hopeful. Every small success brought them closer to achieving something monumental. For the first time, they felt like they weren't just repairing a broken ship. They were building something entirely new, something that could change the fate of humanity forever. But as they worked, a question lingered in the back of their minds. What would the Veil think when they saw what humans had done with their gift? And more importantly, How would they respond? As the team delved deeper into Project Eclipse, they began to notice strange details about the asterisk solstice asterisk that didn't add up. Chloe, who spent most of her time analyzing data from the ship's systems, stumbled upon something unsettling one night. Hidden deep within the alien vessel's archives were logs, fragmented and encrypted, but still readable with enough effort. These logs weren't written in human language. Instead, they used symbols and patterns that Chloe had to painstakingly decode. When she finally pieced together enough information to understand the content, her blood ran cold. She called Ryan, Emma, and Alex into the dimly lit control room of the asterisk solstice asterisk to share what she'd found. The screen in front of her displayed lines of translated text, glowing faintly in the dark. "The Veil. They don't give gifts," Chloe said quietly, her voice trembling. This ship wasn't a gesture of goodwill. It was a test. Ryan frowned, leaning closer to read the screen. What kind of test? Chloe hesitated before answering. They do this to other civilizations too. They hand over old, useless technology and wait to see what happens. If the civilization can improve it or make something valuable out of it, the Veil consider them worthy opponents. But if they fail, she trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Emma crossed her arms, her expression hardening. If they fail, the Veil destroy them, she concluded grimly. That's why they gave us junk. They wanted to see if we rise to the challenge, or crumble. The weight of Chloe's discovery hung heavy in the air. None of them spoke for a long moment, each lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Alex broke the silence. "So, what does that mean for us? Are we just pawns in their game?" Ryan shook his head firmly. "No, we're not going to let them decide our fate. If they want to see what we're capable of, then we'll show them. We'll prove that humanity isn't weak." Emma nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. "We've already started turning their test into something powerful. Project Eclipse is our answer. If they come looking for results, we'll be ready." With renewed resolve, the team doubled their efforts on the weapon. They knew now that failure wasn't an option, it meant extinction. Every day brought new challenges as they pushed the limits of the orb's energy output and integrated it into the ship's systems. The work was grueling, and tensions sometimes flared, but no one dared to quit. One evening, while testing a prototype of the weapon, Ryan noticed something alarming. The energy pulses generated by the orb were growing unstable. Sparks flew from the console, and warning alarms blared throughout the ship. Emma rushed to shut down the system before it caused serious damage. "This thing is too unpredictable," Emma said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "If we don't stabilize it, it could tear the ship apart, or worse." Alex groaned, throwing up his hands. "Great. So we're building a weapon that might blow us up first." Chloe typed furiously on her tablet, trying to pinpoint the problem. "It's not the weapon itself, it's the orb. Its energy spikes are getting harder to control. We need to find a way to regulate it." Ryan clenched his fists, frustration boiling inside him. "Then we'll figure it out. We've come this far. We're not stopping now." Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly to solve the instability issue. Emma redesigned parts of the core housing to better contain the energy surges, while Alex reinforced the wiring to handle the increased load. Chloe monitored the orb constantly, tweaking algorithms to predict and counteract its erratic behavior. Slowly but surely, they managed to bring the system under control. Despite their progress, the looming threat of the Veil weighed heavily on their minds. They knew it was only a matter of time before the aliens returned to check on their experiment. When that happened, humanity would have to stand its ground, or face annihilation. As Ryan stood in the dim light of the workshop, staring at the glowing orb, he felt a mix of fear and pride. Fear because the stakes were unimaginably high, and pride because they were proving that humans could adapt, innovate, and fight back against even the greatest odds. Whatever came next, one thing was certain: Humanity wouldn't go down without a fight. The team worked around the clock to complete Project Eclipse, knowing that time was running out. They had turned the solstice into something far beyond what the Veil could have imagined, a weapon capable of unleashing devastating energy. But now came the hardest part, testing it. If the weapon failed or caused unintended damage, it could mean disaster, not just for the team, but for Earth itself. Ryan gathered everyone in the control room to go over the plan one last time. "We're going to take the solstice out to a remote area of space," he said, pointing at a map displayed on the screen. "If anything goes wrong, at least we won't endanger anyone on Earth." Emma nodded, her face pale but resolute. "We've done everything we can to stabilize the orb's energy output. The simulations look good, but we won't know for sure until we try it live." Alex tightened his grip on a wrench, looking uneasy. "And if it blows up?" he asked bluntly. No one answered right away, but the silence spoke volumes. They all knew the risks involved. Chloe forced a weak smile. "Let's focus on making sure it doesn't blow up, okay?" With no other options left, the team boarded the solstice and set off into deep space. The journey took several hours, during which no one spoke much. Each person was lost in their own thoughts, wondering whether this mission would be their last. When they finally reached the designated testing zone, an empty region far from Earth, they prepared for the test. Ryan sat in the pilot's seat, gripping the controls tightly. "All right, everyone," he said, his voice steady despite the nerves gnawing at him. "This is it. Let's see what we've built." Emma stood beside him, monitoring the weapon systems on a nearby console. "Energy levels are stable. So far," she reported. "Ready when you are." Chloe watched the readings on her tablet, her fingers hovering over the keyboard in case something went wrong. Alex stayed near the engine room, ready to make manual adjustments if needed. Ryan took a deep breath and activated Project Eclipse. At first, nothing happened. Then a low hum filled the ship as the orb began to glow brighter and brighter. The energy surged through the ship's systems, building toward its peak. Outside, a massive pulse of light erupted from the solstice, illuminating the darkness of space like a second sun. For a moment, everyone froze, staring in awe at the sheer power they had unleashed. The pulse traveled outward in a perfect sphere, covering an enormous area before fading away. Sensors confirmed that the energy had disrupted nearby asteroids, reducing them to dust. "It worked," Emma whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. "We actually did it." But their relief was short-lived. Moments later, alarms blared as the ship's communication system crackled to life. A message came through, not from Earth, but from the Veil. Their sleek cruiser appeared on the radar, approaching fast. "They're here," Chloe said, panic creeping into her voice. They must have detected the pulse. Ryan clenched his jaw, his mind racing. "Get us ready. We don't know why they're here, but we need to be prepared for anything." As the Veil cruiser drew closer, the team braced themselves for what was coming next. Had they passed the aliens' test, or had they made a grave mistake by showing their hand too soon? Whatever the answer, one thing was clear. Humanity's fate now rested in the hands of 4 ordinary people who had dared to defy the odds. Ryan glanced at his teammates, each of whom looked back at him with determination in their eyes. "No matter what happens," he said firmly, "we stand our ground. Together." The Veil envoy hailed them, demanding an explanation for the energy pulse. Ryan stepped forward to address them, his heart pounding but his voice steady. Humanity's moment of truth had arrived, and there was no turning back. The Veil cruiser loomed outside the solstice, its sleek design casting an ominous shadow over the human ship. Inside, Ryan stood at the center of the control room, his hand steady on the console as he prepared to face the aliens. Emma, Alex, and Chloe stood nearby, their faces tense but resolute. None of them knew what the Veil would do next, but they were ready to defend themselves and humanity. A holographic image of a Veil ambassador appeared in the middle of the room. The alien's form was tall and slender, with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through them. Its voice echoed coldly as it addressed the humans. "Explain yourselves," it demanded. "What is the meaning of this energy pulse?" Ryan stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "You gave us a ship," he began, meeting the alien's gaze without flinching. "We took what you handed us and made something better, something stronger." The Veil ambassador tilted its head slightly, studying him. "You have exceeded our expectations," it said after a pause. "But such power in your hands could pose a threat to us and to others." Emma spoke up then, her tone sharp. "If we're a threat, it's because you forced us to be. You didn't give us a gift, you gave us a test. And now you see that we passed." The ambassador's expression didn't change, but there was a flicker of something in its glowing eyes. Curiosity, perhaps, or even respect. "Your ingenuity is impressive," it admitted. "But do you truly believe you can stand against us if conflict arises?" Ryan clenched his fists but kept his composure. "We don't want conflict," he said. "We just want to survive. If you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. But if you try to harm us..." He let the sentence hang, leaving the unspoken threat hanging in the air. The Veil ambassador stared at them for a long moment before speaking again. "Very well. We will relay your demonstration to our leaders. Consider this interaction unresolved." With that, the hologram vanished, and the cruiser turned away, disappearing into the vastness of space. For a moment, the team simply stood there, stunned by what had just happened. They had faced one of the most advanced species in the galaxy and held their ground, but none of them felt victorious. Instead, they were left with a heavy sense of uncertainty. "They're not done with us," Emma said finally, breaking the silence. Her voice was quiet but filled with unease. "This isn't over." Ryan nodded grimly. "No, it's not. But at least we showed them we're not helpless." Alex slumped into a chair, letting out a shaky breath. "So what now? Do we wait for them to come back with bigger ships and more weapons?" "We prepare," Chloe replied firmly, her fingers flying across her tablet as she accessed data from the recent test. "We know Project Eclipse works. Now we need to make it stronger and faster. If they come back, we have to be ready." Over the next few days, the team worked harder than ever to improve the weapon. They analyzed every detail of the test, looking for ways to increase its efficiency and reduce the risk of instability. Emma redesigned parts of the system to handle higher energy outputs, while Alex reinforced the ship's structure to withstand the strain. Chloe monitored the org closely, tweaking algorithms to predict potential problems before they occurred. Despite their progress, tensions ran high. The weight of knowing that the Veil could return at any moment weighed heavily on all of them. Sleep became rare, and meals were often skipped as they poured every ounce of energy into their work. One evening, Ryan found Emma staring out of the ship's viewport, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. "You okay?" he asked softly, stepping beside her. She shook her head. "I keep thinking about what happens next," she admitted. "What if we're not strong enough? What if they decide we're too dangerous to live?" Ryan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We've already proven we can fight back. That's more than anyone expected of us. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Emma managed a small smile, though her eyes still reflected her worry. "Together," she echoed. As the days passed, the team grew closer, united by the shared knowledge that they were humanity's first line of defense. They didn't know when, or if, the Veil would return, but they vowed to be ready. For now, they focused on strengthening the Solstice and refining Project Eclipse, determined to protect Earth at all costs. In the quiet moments between work, Ryan often thought about how far they'd come. A broken-down alien ship had become their greatest hope, and their deadliest weapon. Humanity's future depended on 4 ordinary people who refused to give up. Whatever happened next, they would face it head-on, proving once again that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans could rise to the challenge. Weeks passed after the Veil's departure, but the team aboard the Solstice couldn't shake the feeling that their time was running out. They worked tirelessly to improve Project Eclipse, knowing that the aliens might return at any moment. And this time, they wouldn't come alone. The looming threat weighed heavily on everyone, but it also pushed them to work harder and faster than ever before. One morning, as Ryan reviewed the latest upgrades to the weapon system, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Chloe's voice cut through the chaos from her station. "Multiple ships detected," she shouted, her fingers flying across her tablet. "They're coming in fast." The team scrambled to their positions, hearts pounding. Outside the viewport, dozens of Veil warships appeared, surrounding Earth like a swarm of predators. It was clear this wasn't just an inspection, it was an invasion. "They've made their decision," Emma said grimly, her hands trembling as she adjusted the controls for Project Eclipse. "If we don't stop them now, Earth is finished." Ryan clenched his jaw, taking a deep breath to steady himself. "Then let's show them what we're capable of." Alex ran to the engine room, making sure the Solstice could handle the strain of the weapon's activation. "Energy levels are maxed out," he called back. "We're ready, but I don't know how many shots we'll get before something blows." Chloe monitored the enemy ships, plotting their movements. "They're spreading out," she reported. "If we can hit one cluster, it might disrupt their formation long enough for Earth's defenses to respond." Ryan nodded. "Do it. Target the largest group." Emma entered the coordinates into the system, her hands moving quickly despite the fear gripping her chest. "Target locked," she said. "Firing sequence initiated." As the Solstice charged the weapon, the Veil ships began firing on Earth's orbital defenses. Explosions lit up the darkness of space, sending debris spiraling into the void. Humanity's forces were outmatched, struggling to hold their ground against the overwhelming assault. "Now or never," Ryan muttered under his breath. With a deafening pulse, Project Eclipse unleashed its energy. A massive wave of light surged outward, engulfing several Veil ships in its path. The alien vessels shattered instantly, reduced to nothing more than floating fragments. The shockwave rippled through the battlefield, forcing other ships to retreat temporarily. For a brief moment, there was silence aboard the Solstice. Then Alex let out a shaky laugh. Did we actually do that?" "We did," Chloe replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But look, they are regrouping." Sure enough, the remaining Veil ships reorganized and launched a counterattack. The Solstice, battered and fragile, wasn't equipped to withstand a direct assault. Warning lights flashed across the control panel as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. "We can't take another hit like that," Emma said, panic creeping into her voice. "We need to move. Now." Ryan gripped the controls tightly, maneuvering the ship through the chaos. "Earth's defense fleet is engaging," he announced, watching smaller human ships join the fight. Inspired by the Solstice's bravery, they fought fiercely, turning the tide of the battle. The Veil, unprepared for such resistance, began retreating. Their sleek cruisers pulled back, vanishing into the depths of space as suddenly as they had arrived. For the first time in hours, the team allowed themselves a moment to breathe. "We did it," Emma said softly, tears streaming down her face. "We protected Earth." But Ryan shook his head, his expression grim. "This isn't over. They'll be back. Next time, we'll need more than just one weapon." As the Solstice drifted silently in orbit, battered but still intact, the team knew their journey was far from finished. They had proven humanity's strength, but the cost of survival was high, and the price of freedom even higher. After the battle, Earth celebrated its narrow victory against the Veil. News of the Solstice and its crew spread across the globe, turning Ryan, Emma, Alex, and Chloe into heroes overnight. Images of their battered ship and the glowing orb at the heart of Project Eclipse became symbols of humanity's resilience. But for the team, there was little time to rest or enjoy the accolades. They knew the Veil would return, and when they did, humanity would need more than just one weapon. Ryan stood in the hangar where the Solstice was docked, staring at the damaged hull. The ship had saved them once, but it wouldn't hold up in another fight. "We can't rely on this old thing forever," he said aloud, though no one else was around to hear him. "If we're going to survive, we need to build something stronger." Emma joined him a few minutes later, her arms crossed as she gazed at the ship. "You're right," she agreed. "Project Eclipse was just the beginning. We've shown the Veil what we're capable of, but now we have to keep proving it, over and over again." Over the next several weeks, the team threw themselves into designing new ships and weapons. With support from governments and scientists around the world, they expanded their operation far beyond the confines of the Solstice. Factories churned out advanced technology based on the principles they'd learned from the alien orb. Engineers and physicists worked side by side, pushing the boundaries of human innovation. Alex spent most of his time supervising the construction of prototype vessels, each faster and more durable than the last. "These babies will outrun anything the Veil throw at us," he boasted one day, patting the sleek frame of a newly completed fighter craft. "And if they catch us, well, let's just say they'll regret it." Chloe focused on improving the energy core technology, refining the orb's design to make it safer and more efficient. Her breakthroughs allowed humanity to harness incredible amounts of power without risking catastrophic failures. "This isn't just about weapons anymore," she told the team during one meeting. "It's about building a future where we don't have to live in fear." As months passed, Earth transformed into a planet united by purpose. Nations set aside their differences to work together, pooling resources and knowledge to prepare for whatever came next. Space stations orbited the planet, armed with defenses powered by the same energy that had driven Project Eclipse. Humanity wasn't just defending itself, it was stepping boldly into the stars. But even amid all the progress, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they were still playing catch-up. The Veil were out there somewhere, planning their next move, and while humanity had proven it could fight back, Ryan knew they couldn't win every battle through sheer determination alone. One evening, as the team gathered in the hangar to review their latest designs, Emma spoke up. "What happens if we never see them again?" she asked quietly. "What if they decide we're not worth the trouble?" Ryan thought about it for a moment before answering. "Then we use this time to get stronger, to explore, to build. Either way, we can't stop moving forward. If the Veil taught us anything, it's that standing still means dying." The others nodded in agreement. They had started this journey with nothing but an old broken ship and a desperate hope to protect their home. Now, they were leading humanity into a new era, one defined not by fear, but by courage and ingenuity. As the sun set outside the hangar, casting long shadows across the room, Ryan felt a flicker of pride. Humanity wasn't perfect, and it never would be. But it was resilient. It was determined. And most importantly, it refused to give up, even when faced with the impossible. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Ryan knew one thing for certain: humanity would face them head-on, together.